Mom, Dad's being weird again.
Luscious.
Honey,
So full.
it's just grass.
Oh, it's so much more than just grass. It's a healthier, greener, and more luscious lawn. Yours can be too.
Look at you.
With Kabursky Brothers Lawn Care.
Remember, no shoes on the lawn. Because you're so beautiful.
Call or click today.
Come on, boys, come on here. Come on, Johnny, watch out.
Bacon, exciting to chew. Bacon fest, we're expecting you and love. Iowa bacon love.
Murph and Andy, proudly presented by Ramsey Subaru, live and on demand across Iowa everywhere from the Channel Seed Studios. This is Murph and Andy. Murph and Andy, connected by cellular advantage.
Glad to have you with us here on Murph and Andy. It's a Wednesday. Keith Murphy, Andy Fales, Andrew Downs with you. I not only have hit re-entry, Andy, I have a re-entry injury.
What happened?
Well, I did that really stupid thing that shows why they put razor covers on travel razors, because you shouldn't reach into the bag
Yes, right.
blindly. I did that, and what your pinky, not really bad, but it's one of those things that just keeps bleeding. Like the next day, still bleeding.
Reached
Been
in
back
there looking
24
for
hours.
something and
Yep.
grazed the blades of the
Just grab that blade like an idiot, and yeah, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it though. Happy portal reopening day to all who celebrate. The portal is back open.
I don't think college football coaches celebrate this portal.
I don't think
They don't.
anybody.
They don't like it. No.
You know who is back in the portal today officially?
Is it that one guy that played at 8 different schools? Is he somehow
He
back in
is.
the portal?
He has committed to Ole Miss, so he's already back
Is there
out
only
of the
one?
portal.
Is there only one guy? I thought you're going to be like, well, there's 5 guys that have done.
Well, I'm homing in on one guy, and that is DeColdest Crawford. DeColdest Crawford is back in the portal today. Now, he originally committed to LSU. Then he went to Nebraska, where DeColdest made that actual NIL ad for air conditioning service. What's it say there? Heating and cooling. SOS Heating and Cooling. So he goes there, he does that ad. It was NIL. We were all like, that's NIL. That's not pay for play. That's kind of a good idea. But he didn't stay there. He transferred to Louisiana Tech. And now DeColdest, does he have a do not contact order? I'm not sure, but he's back in the portal along with a couple thousand other players.
Well, and I'm sure somebody will make the most out of that.
All right, let's talk briefly about Nico Iamaleava.
Iamaleava. No, Iamaleava.
Niamaleava.
Iamaleava.
Iamaleava.
It's a tough one. man.
Iamaleava. Yeah, he's in the portal. He does have a do not contact order on him today. And I was listening to Yahoo Sports, one of their podcasts, and Frank Schwab was on there, and he kind of went on a rant, and he was yelling at people like you, me, and Sears's commentary, and many fans, and he was just saying, if you're blaming Nico or any player who's just trying to get more money, you are being an idiot, and you need to better educate yourself. And I think I understand why he would make this point, but I think he's making the wrong point here. the people
Is
who
one of those guys that just wants to go back and blame the NCAA for something they didn't do 25 years ago.
Yeah, basically. But the problem here isn't opposition to players being paid when there's so much money out there. I think most of us agree they have to get a piece of that. And I don't think even people are even saying maybe in some cases it should be more than they're getting. I think most of us are saying good on Tennessee for not backing down when a guy is demanding this right before the spring game and he's trying to renegotiate the deal that he already had in place, even if it wasn't written into a contract. I think that's why people are backing Tennessee, not because they feel like players shouldn't be paid.
Well, and my argument is this isn't money that's coming from an NFL, $10 billion team or a gigantic corporation. This is money that's coming from individual donors, like people, face-to-face people who gave this money to him. He had a contract. I mean, this is what's kind of weird about his situation.
He did have an actual contract.
He had a contract.
So he wanted that contract renegotiated.
Now, it's a weird contract. It's
Sure.
one that he can leave, right, to transfer to another school. There's no non-compete element to that contract. But, I mean, he did agree to be there for 4 years for X amount of dollars. And so these people gave him that money. These donors gave him this money. And then this collective, again, it's not the university, this collective would have to turn around and say, hey, remember that money that he agreed to play for?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we need you to give more money because he wants more money. It is not the same as an NFL player doing it. I think this is much more personal. So I think that is the root of my objection to this.
Front Office Sports says that Nico's camp says that they did not make these demands. They didn't make unreasonable demands, and they feel like they are very fair and have made no mistakes in what they're trying to accomplish. But wherever the truth actually is, there's no doubt that Nico is struggling right now to find somebody that will take him. And I don't think he's going to get the $4 million or whatever he supposedly wanted. I do think eventually once we move on in the news cycle, move on even more than we already have since we were talking about this last week, I do think that somebody who wants a talented college quarterback is going to give him a couple $1 million. Somebody will sign him. But there's a lot of places right now that are taking the temperature of public reaction and saying like, yeah, right now this guy's stay away.
Well, and I think a big problem here is you had the basketball season, and now we see all of these basketball players getting their new round of collective dollars. And so the football players can all accurately say, well, our sport is worth a lot more money to the school than the men's basketball program is. And somebody like Nico Iamaleava can say, I'm the quarterback, right? I am the biggest man on campus here, the sports campus. So I should be getting more money. And they can just point to the very public dollars that are just given to the basketball players and say, now I need more money. So, I mean, the problem is that the problem is the structure, and there really isn't any structure.
Right.
The problem is, the coaches will say is the spring portal where these players can basically leverage that against teams and say, I'm going to leave and then be allowed to go somewhere else and play right away. So this is a mess. I don't know how first of all, I mean, it starts kind of the federal level. The NCAA wants there to be federal, some decisions, some antitrust legislation passed to give them some safety, because every time they want to impose a regulation, somebody lawyers up and sues the NCAA, and those don't go well for the NCAA. So the NCAA can't stand up. They have no backbone to stand up with, because I mean, they just flat out don't have it. The feds have not given them that yet. They have to worry. They get sued for antitrust violations all the time. you can't do this. You can't collude. You can't organize against this. If there is a federal law in place that allows the NCAA to say, okay, we can enforce these rules, then at that point they can go forward with actually setting up more rules.
Guesthouse Tavern and Oyster in West Des Moines sets the table for today's sports and more here on a Murph and Andy Wednesday. Coming up, we got Premature Buffs, we got Mocco, and fake bands with Mr. Movie. That is all brought to you by Guesthouse Tavern, Northwoods inspired Midwestern hospitality. Right now, it's high or low since our last show.
Presented by Wealth Charter Retirement Planning and Tax.
Tim Hawkins and company up at Wealth Charter Retirement taking a deep breath after the close of tax season, as it's finished up yesterday. There are people still doing extensions and stuff, and state taxes, of course, to the end of the month. But
did you ever wait till the very end? Like, I never understood that. I mean, you don't even necessarily have to file it. But I never understood waiting till like midnight on the 14th and rushing out there and getting in one of those long lines at the post office to get the postmarked date and time.
Yeah, I think early on I did procrastinate like that, and then I had a tax preparer a couple of years that didn't have all the ducks in the row, and ended up having to ask for an extension for me, and I was like,
for your 1040 EZ.
I got to go somewhere. It wasn't a 1040 EZ, but it wasn't super complicated. But yeah, I went to somebody else after that. So give Tim Hawkins and company a try. I'm going to go high here. So I spoke at the Drake NIL dinner, for lack of a better term, the Do Great Collective. Do Great Collective dinner last night.
Got it.
And you know, it's a little ironic because I think I've made it pretty clear what that I'm still I'm wrestling with my feelings over NIL and collectors and that.
And it's not NIL in most cases. It is more at Drake than many places. Like, some of the athletes there are actually being paid primarily just for their name, image, and likeness. Yeah. The things we rail on more are when somebody's getting $2, $3, $4 million to go play somewhere. That's not NIL. You're paying them.
It's paid for play.
Salary.
Yeah. And I thought about getting up there and, starting off with picking bones over semantics and stuff like that. But no, I will just say that, first of all, I walked into the room, was out at Prairie Meadows, and I was surprised at how many people were there. There was a big crowd of people there. And, needless to say, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I bet it was, there wasn't a collective at that point, but a crowd like that wouldn't exist at a Drake function like that. So it was really cool to see that.
That's great.
And I got up and spoke, and then it was my job to kind of hit. A bunch of the players came up with me. There were 5 players, 3 from the women's team and 2 from the men's team, that came up with me. And I asked him, I hit him with a few questions and, about what their plans were and, what this year was like, because they've, all of the players up there have had just incredible college basketball runs. And then I, asked them a little bit about what they were able to do with the NIL money that they got. And I don't know how much money they got at Drake. But it wasn't a lot of money, but, they all said, I'm trying to get into medical school. It's very expensive. So it allowed me to start a savings account for those things. It was just it was very Drake. It was very responsible. And they were talking about, making the most of that money with, saving it and stuff like that. It was really kind of neat, but it didn't hit me until I was up there. Okay, so this is the Do Great Collective dinner. Okay, we all know what's happened at Drake, and Ben McCullum is not there, but Eric Henderson is there, and up with me on stage is Nate Ferguson and Daniel Abreu, and they have both exhausted their eligibility. They're finished.
Abreu, by the way, great interview. Really
fun guy. Yeah. Doesn't watch any sports at all, not even basketball. But a really fun, entertaining guy. And and they're up there, and Katie Dinnebeer is there, and Courtney Becker and Anna Miller as well. So really great players. And they all have these great stories, and two of them are pharmacy majors, and one is going into medical school, and others are in finance. It was crazy.
This is not the Kansas Jayhawks men's basketball dinner.
No, it's not. So, but then I look out, and it hits me as I look out into the crowd. Bennett Sturtz is there. Cam Manyow is there. The players who are transferring are still at this dinner.
Really?
And I was just like, this great feeling just charged me. That's a really Drake thing.
They're cool.
They're still in school. School's going on. Why wouldn't they come? People loved seeing them there, but I can see in many other instances, these players being like, oh, well, I'm leaving. And, I don't want to be with these guys. I'm going to feel bad. And people are going to make me feel bad. Or, I want to move on, mentally. No, there wasn't any of that. They all showed up. These fans were delighted to see them. They were there to sign autographs. They had big posters of these players that, that they were going to sign, and then they were going to auction them off. They had the team posters, that I've got back here, where they could autograph new ones for all these people that were out there. It was so refreshing. I loved that. And I didn't really realize that they were all there. I saw Bennett, saw Cam.
Mm-hmm.
Later on, as I'm leaving, Alex Kaburski of the Brothers Kaburski,
yes,
who I realized was a Drake fan. He's there. He's a donor. Makes me like him even more. I thought he was an Iowa fan.
I did too.
He texted me. He was just like, no, they were all there.
Well, a couple things have to happen for this to go this way. Ben McCollum has to say, cool by him. Brian Harden has to say, of course they're welcome back. Eric Henderson, the new coach, has to say, we'd love to have those guys here. They were part of a great 31-win season you just had. So props to everybody. It doesn't always go this way.
No, it doesn't. And I wouldn't expect anything less from any of those people. I guess, aren't you a little jaded to the point where you would just assume that they wouldn't be there?
Yeah. Oh,
I mean,
for sure.
even if somebody said, no, well, they're still in school. They're still Drake students. Some of them are completing their degrees. They're going to graduate. They got a lot of stuff to do at Drake. But I still would think that they wouldn't go to that dinner.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I was wrong about that.
That is a good one. I'm going to go high too. And my high is Monday night after the show, had dinner with the Hassels. Kristen and Chris, Jenny and I, we had a great dinner at JWB's Steakhouse, something like that. And, it's got a real good dive bar in it, which how much Hassel loves a dive bar. So we were able to have a couple of Blue Olive dry martinis at this, dive bar at the front of the place.
Do you like martinis? I would never think you would want a martini. Do you like
I like
martinis?
A dirty martini. I mean, I'd really
So mostly
dirty.
olive juice?
A lot of olive juice. Yeah. I mean, I had one. One's enough for me. But the meal and the conversation was just fantastic. A lot of it was about Iowa everywhere. And Kristen and Jenny had their own thing going. And we kept ordering sides. And we had a dessert that we split between the four of us. And then the bill came, and it was $640.
Shut up.
I promise. It's like, oh my gosh. And no one had more than 2 drinks, and this went on for 3 hours.
So you picked it up, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I did.
You should have picked up that tab, Murph. You're the elder statesman at the table.
Jenny picked up the tab, and she's not the elder statesman. No, yeah, we did, but the Hassels, they would not take no for an answer. And the next day, Kristen Venmo'd Jenny some money because she just would not let it go. Because they're nice people. But it was so good to just sit there and laugh and talk. And you know what? Hey, reunited with friends is the best. And also, once in a while, I need to sit down with Chris to be reminded that he's not always the guy who's posting on social media or sending me these text messages that make me feel like he's mad at me.
Yeah, highly critical text messages, criticizing our show. Stuff that we got wrong or left out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just couldn't be nicer in person. And man, he's just a disciplined eater. Did not touch the breadbasket.
Both of you are highly.
Meat.
Did you touch it?
Oh yeah, I did. Meat and vegetables. I mean, he's eating meat and vegetables. He's not drinking a beer. He's just drinking straight vodka. It's a lot.
I got to get better about.
Are you hearing my voice back?
I am too. Yes.
AD? What changed?
Let me work on that.
We got a little. We call that mixed minus TV industry where all of us now it's done.
Is it gone again?
Whatever button you pushed, Andrew.
Whatever button you push. That for a moment there. How many times have you been out in the field, Andy, and you're live, and you learn this pretty early in television, but boy, you see it happen to young reporters, and they try to push through. And when you're hearing your own voice back a couple seconds later, it is so hard to say anything. You
got to just pull your
pull your earpiece out and go blind the rest of the time. And if you watch, you'll see a lot of singers do that too. If you watch live concerts, especially on television shows where maybe a bunch of different acts are using different mixes, you'll see somebody come out and they'll pull that earpiece out right away, which means they're getting the mix minus or getting it back. Right now, let's get the buzz here on a Murph and Andy Wednesday.
The Buzz. Brought to you by Logier Heating and Cooling.
Logier Heating and Cooling, not able to land DeColdis Crawford, but they got everything else you could possibly need to take care of your Des Moines metro community air conditioning and heating needs. They're coming out to do a check here next week, just to make sure we're all set up for the summer. This is not like a breaking news story by any means, but it's a good topic, and it is the Colorado Buffaloes announcing that this Saturday at the spring game, they're retiring the numbers, not just the jerseys, because they make a statement that no one will wear the 2 or 12 again of Shedeur Sanders and Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter. Now, there's a lot of thoughts that go with this, Andy, but for one that comes to mind immediately, They did step into a bad situation with Deion Sanders as the coach. The team had been bad, but in 2 years, they went 13-12, no championships, no bowl wins. Now, Hunter did win the Heisman. Sanders finished 8th for the Heisman Trophy. And Colorado, this is a different era of Colorado football, of course, but there's some guys like Darian Hagan who won a title and was, all Big 8 quarterback, all Big 8 back then in back-to-back years. Cordell Stewart, his number's not retired.
Wow.
Won a Fiesta Bowl. Had a 1-loss season, was fantastic. There are, I think, 4 players whose numbers are retired, but there's a bunch of guys who aren't, and this is really quick. So first, AD, give us the quickie poll, and then we'll hear some of our thoughts on this as well as yours. Quickie poll is presented by WCI Pools and Spas in Ames and Urbandale.
Yeah, what should Colorado do with Hunter and Sanders' numbers? Retire both numbers, retire only Hunter's, or just wait on both of them?
I think you could argue that you have a Heisman Trophy winner. You could retire his number. I'm with the popular vote here on this. I just think it's too soon. There's no reason to do it at the spring game. It feels like it's to appease Deion Sanders and to keep him happy and to make him happy, but it might not be. I don't know what it is, but you don't need this at the spring game. Bring them back after their NFL careers have started in 5 years or something like that. I just don't get this at all.
Yeah, I don't either. It looks like something to appease Deion, and I don't know why you need to appease Deion. He's the coach.
And they just re-signed him to a huge deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Shedeur Sanders didn't step into a bad situation. He was coming with his dad. He was one of the top recruits. They were totally remaking the whole program in his dad's image, and he was going to start. I mean, that guy had a red carpet rolled out in front of him. I mean,
he had the Louis Vuitton.
There was no chance that he wasn't going to start. It was his dad's team. I mean, it was the easiest transition anybody could have made. But Travis Hunter he's an all-time Colorado Buffalo. He's going to be, but you want to string this out a little bit, right? I mean, a reason to bring them back or him back and have the fans get excited about it. What if they suck in like 3 years and they need a reason, 5 years, 10 years, they need a reason to get fans in the stands. and they can say we're having Travis Hunter days. We're retiring his number, his jersey. And you've already done it. By that point, you've already spent that. You've already fired that round. I don't see what the hurry is.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't see what the hurry is. I have no problem with them retiring both these numbers, though. Travis Hunter, for obvious reasons. Shedeur Sanders is the best quarterback statistically they've ever had. And more than anything, this comes with Deion. It's like when the Lakers, who's my favorite team, signed LeBron James. You know you're going to get the best player in the world and a chance to win championships, and you're also going to get all the headaches that come with it and him wanting to be GM and have his coach and all that, and you just kind of take the good with the bad. If you want the notoriety, if you want Snoop Dogg at your games and to sell millions of dollars in merch because Deion is your head coach and he wants his son's number retired, he's going to get his son's number retired, and that's part of the package. So I'm okay with it. I do see what you guys are saying about waiting a little bit, but who knows how long Deion's going to be there? You might as well just do it now.
Yeah, I don't even know if Shedeur Sanders has great stats, but it is from a completely different era here with the passing game. And I don't have any shade to throw his way. I think he could be a good NFL quarterback, and he played well. He set a bunch of Colorado records, not surprisingly. But he did just play 2 seasons, and he didn't win a bowl game, and he wasn't first-team All-America or anything. He just, I mean, he certainly would not be meeting the standards to have his jersey retired at Iowa or Iowa State, for instance, even if he had the same exact career at either of those places. And this is not a big deal, will not change my life in any way, so I'm not suggesting that it's something we're all upset about. I just don't get it. Like, why do it now? And now you've got some other guys who legitimately can make a case to have their jerseys retired that could kind of feel like, hey, what about me? Colorado won a national championship when I was the quarterback, that kind of thing. And I do think there's a considerable difference between Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, too.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Hunter just had a 2-year career, he did win the Heisman Trophy, and he did
Played
start
both
on
ways.
both sides of the ball, and he is going to probably be drafted higher. But also wondering to you, Andy, AD, does it make any difference to you, as it does to some people, that we need to first wait and see what kind of pros they are?
It shouldn't, but it always makes a difference, right? It always changes the perception. And I was thinking that I can almost hear Deion going in there and saying, something to the tune of, now don't think that you're going to wait and see if Shedeur is a great pro or not. And then if he is, then you're going to retire his jersey and he's going to come back for the ceremony. You either do it now or don't do it. I can almost hear him holding their feet to the fire like that. But in Colorado's case, I think that's a reason why they should wait on Shedeur Sanders. If he becomes a great NFL quarterback, you would love to be able to have that real reason to reconnect with him and give him that great big welcome and make him feel great about his, college experience in Boulder all over again. You would like to have that reason. Without it, I mean, you just basically got just an open invitation for any time he wants to come back, and you'll introduce him. I mean, you don't have that like big event that's still, out there as a possibility for you.
Iowa didn't wait long with Caitlin Clark or Luka Garza, but they also didn't do it as many people thought they should, like at the end of the season.
No, they waited a year and it made sense.
Garza, they did. Garza, they did at the end of that season.
Did they?
Last home game, they did. Yeah. It's kind of a weird situation, but.
Okay, well, I retract that then. Thank you for the
I
correction.
believe so. I'll double check, but I'm
Well,
pretty sure.
I mean, the Caitlin Clark one was the big one, the one that they needed to
Yeah.
do. And I think you make exceptions for somebody like that. And Shedeur Sanders is not the equivalent Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, these two are both national players of the year, but that's kind of what Travis Hunter was too. So when you win the Heisman Trophy, you can make that case. Let's move on to some other hot topics here on a Wednesday. At some point, we got to get into this more, but Michael Mocco, wrestler, has committed to Iowa. And Andy, we need to renew our commitment to try to find the missing tape. We found the Lucas Steiger interview the other night. I looked high and deep and found it. Put it in sound off this past Sunday. We need to find the time that you wrestled Steve Mocco while I was conducting an interview.
What? There's no way this is his son, right? He's not old enough to have a son that's scoring.
Isn't it his son? I thought it was his son. Do I have that wrong?
Okay, no, I'm telling you, that is really going to make me feel old. I don't need help.
It is his son.
He's got a son already. Like that's oh my God.
Yeah. So you wrestled him, and
so that would have been like 22 years ago, I guess.
Yeah.
He got after it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I'm interviewing Zaleski.
Yeah, Jim Zaleski is the coach. Yep.
Zaleski. I'm
Jim Zaleski.
Okay. I'm going. Sorry. Also going to the Ukraine there for a moment. So I'm. Yeah, I know. I was trying to make sure I wasn't inverting them. So I'm doing the interview, and we tell him, like, look, as we're just talking about wrestling, Andy is going to be in the back, just, with Steve Mocco showing him some wrestling moves, and nobody will be paying any attention to what we're saying. They'll be watching Mocco back there with Andy. And
we've told Mocco to pick me up and throw me around, right?
Yeah, and Zaleski thinks this is a great idea. So we do it, and I look back at one point because Zaleski says a couple of times, "Are you sure your guy's okay back there?" And I remember saying,
laughing.
Oh yeah, he loves this kind of stuff.
You sure he's okay back?
You sure he's okay? No, he's all in. And then I look back and I see genuine fear in your eyes because he does not seem to be joking, and I'm sure he was.
Yeah,
but it was a little bit scary for you.
Yeah, I mean, he and I were like before, and I was like, I'll kind of jump at you, and you could kind of catch me. And he was like, yeah, we did it like pro wrestling, basically, as I was kind of jumping, and he would grab me. But I mean, back then I was probably close to 220 pounds, and he was picking me up and throwing me down like I was 20
nothing.
pounds. It was nothing. He was just a big boulder of a dude.
Jeez.
I mean, I was taller, but just so wide. And yeah, he was like all business. He wasn't laughing. I mean,
there was no twinkle in his eye at all about
he
it.
was definitely taking it easy on me,
Yeah.
but he was still really trying to make it look real.
I was like, was that fun? You're like, no, we're never doing that again.
Yeah, I don't like if I did that today, I would be injured for 6
Traction.
months.
Yeah, traction. Lucy Olson drafted by the Mystics. That was Monday night. This did come as a surprise to some people that the WNBA draft was this past Monday night, and ratings were down from last year nearly 50%, 50. I'm not surprised by that. Caitlin Clark, of course, drove so much of the interest last year, not just here. These are not ratings for Iowa. These are ratings for the United States. Down nearly 50%, even with Paige Beckers at the top of this draft. But two things, again, can be true. Ratings are way down because there's not Caitlin Clark at this year's draft. But if you compare this year's draft to pre-Caitlin Clark drafts, ratings were up considerably. So interest continues to go up in women's basketball. But if you want to go up like a huge spike, Caitlin Clark has to be involved.
Yeah. We don't know how much of this is residual and how much of this is, truly earned and a new portion of the fan base that's just here, going to be here every single year for the draft. But, we had it was mostly Caitlin Clark last year. I mean, anybody that's being realistic is going to admit that. But there were some other factors going in. It was a really glamorous night. Remember that? I mean, just all the video of them arriving and
but
going
was
to
this one
at the
glamorous and
table.
we just didn't pay attention? I honestly don't know. I didn't watch it.
Well,
AD, did you watch it?
You had some very glamorous women last year. Cameron Brink and Angel Reese look like supermodels. They do. And when they arrived, it was like a runway. Right. I mean, most of the people were there watching Caitlin Clark, but those who were watching that also saw, I mean, what really looked like the WNBA putting its best foot forward, these women really leaning into outfits and, their Instagram posts and the photographs that were taken there. I mean, it was kind of like an Oscars night, wasn't it? I remember all the pictures afterwards. I mean, it really was. It was wisely put together.
Got a lot of attention for sure. Cyhawk series, Iowa State 9, Iowa 5 in softball last night. There'll be a rematch over in Iowa City. Iowa State has already won this year's Cyhawk series trophy. Andy, do you need to know anything else?
No.
All right.
I'm good.
Confluence is the official beer of Murph and Andy. Confluence is where good things come together. Now, here on a Wednesday, let's get some more.
But wait, there's more. From Either Or Eatery and Patio.
This is the choice day to work the patio over at Either Or. Beautiful day expected. Mid-70s, blue sky. And then we got some rain coming in later on. So you want to hit that patio tonight. What a great night to do that. Bring your kids. Anybody see the Northern Lights last night? Apparently they were visible here in Iowa. Definitely were not visible in the metro. The city lights really kind of kill your chances of that. But the geomagnetic storm, the factors all kind of lined up so that you could see that. Northern Iowa, apparently.
Looks like you got a nice photo here. This is beautiful. You did good work with your phone.
That was not me. I'm not sure who this was. But there are people that really get into this, and apparently iPhones do a really good job of taking pictures of the Aurora Borealis, but you do have to be in a place where you can, see them. During the earthquake in San Diego this week, I think it was on Monday, I was listening to a news report on the radio on the way to work, and the reporter was live, and he was just like, oh my gosh, I think we're having an earthquake.
Interesting.
Go ahead.
I watched Overthinking, and during Overthinking, one of the commenters is watching from San Diego and says, we just got hit with I think he said six of them just got hit with an
5,
earthquake
6,
here.
something. Yeah, right. Yeah, got hit with an earthquake, a significant earthquake. So there are a lot of interesting videos posted of that earthquake going on. And one of the more interesting videos I thought came from the cameras at the San Diego Zoo. So this is a live camera of the African elephants. And elephants very, very smart. And you see the earthquake going on here, and the elephants like rally into position. Elephants very famous for kind of circling their wagons when there's lions, a big threat. They put the youngest ones in the middle, and then the biggest, toughest elephants go on the outside and kind of face out. But look at this. Watch them. This matriarch kind of herds them all into a circle, turns her butt toward the middle, and then they all stand guard there with the baby kind of in the middle.
That's so cool.
And that's
a great zoo.
Yeah, one of the greatest zoos in the world, but those largely domesticated African elephants that have, been in captivity their entire lives, probably 3-4 generations of captivity, still have that natural instinct like that. ESPN is going to broadcast 10 Savannah Bananas games this year, including those at Fenway Park and Camden Yards.
I'm not surprised when you consider they're selling out football stadiums now.
60 Minutes did a really interesting story with them recently. This is not jump the shark.
No.
Interest in this is still growing. A new survey says that many Americans would rather talk about who they voted for, a private medical issue, their disappointment in their own children, or their showering habits, rather than they would like to talk about how much money they have in the bank.
Really?
And I think about it, I think I kind of agree with that. I cannot ever imagine having a conversation with someone outside my family about how much money I have in the bank. Under any circumstances. And I grew up like my dad and my grandfather, my dad's dad, never, my mom's dad too, never, ever mentioned anything about how much money they made, how much money they had. Didn't like to talk about how much money they spent. They got a new car. That window sticker came immediately off the window. Tore it up, threw it out. Never, ever. And I can't imagine, and I will hear people doing that from time to time. And maybe that's just me, but I apparently a lot of
it's not just you. Yeah,
way.
No. My dad's same way. You don't talk about how much money you make, whether it's low or high. It's just none of anybody else's business. And do
you want to know what other people have? I mean,
not sometimes. I guess I do, but not usually. Like salaries in sports. That's not one of the driving things that fascinates me. I figure if they're making a lot of money, it's because a lot of money is being made. I do wish they would adjust those salaries a little bit and make it easier on the fans to be able to afford to go to games. So there is that comes up. But I also think that my dad mentioned this to so many times as a kid that it does make me uncomfortable with state jobs where somebody's salary is just always put into any story that's done. I feel like, well, I'll bet they don't like that because it was just taught to me that you just don't share that. But in those cases, there's no choice.
No, they're a state employee.
Yeah.
Kirk Ferentz has always hated that. You can always tell that he hated it, and I don't blame him. In news that sounds sort of local but isn't, a man named Dale Hammett of Springfield, Missouri, crashed his 2012 Dodge Ram pickup truck into the front windows of a Come and Go convenience store last week. I guess they have Come and Go in Springfield, Missouri.
This confirms it.
After ramming the building, the 60-year-old man fled the scene. He was quickly found by police, and Hammett claimed that his Crocs got in the way of the gas pedal, causing him to accelerate into the building. Security footage captured the incident. Hammett was later charged with leaving the scene of the accident involving property damage exceeding $1,000. That's a felony.
Ooh.
I think Crocs are the lowest form of men's shoe. People wear them.
They're slightly better than flip-flops.
No, flip-flops.
Well, AD
are
likes that your
At least
toes
they
are
cover the
covered.
feet,
Yeah.
well, for somebody who's really grossed out by feet, I get that. But
this is one more reason, I guess, to not wear Crocs. I thought this was going to end with, and he was drunk. But no, they think it really was the Crocs.
I mean, the guy's in trouble because he left the scene of the accident.
Can't do that.
He may have fled the scene because he didn't want him seeing him in Crocs or something like that. But though they are big and wide and squishy, if you've got like a narrow toe box there in the car, I can see that being a problem. Pushing two pedals at once, trying to work a clutch pedal in Crocs. Can you imagine? That would be a sport. Drive a Formula One car while you're wearing Crocs. That'd be interesting. It's eyelash shedding season. I had no idea that there was such a season. Not many people know it's a thing, but in the spring and fall, we do shed our eyelashes. See, when they get real long like that, they're ready to be shed. Dr. Allison Combs explains, similar to how we shed more hair in the spring and fall, our eyelashes go through a similar cycle. Heads up, though, if you shed more than 5 lashes a day, it's a sign of some serious health problems. You need to see a doctor. So count those eyelashes if they're just falling out.
Fake eyelashes is like a cottage industry now for women too. First of all, I can't believe that so many women play basketball sweating profusely with those long eyelashes that I'm always fascinated by that. And then I've talked to a couple of friends lately that do go get the fake eyelashes, and it's really expensive.
Yeah.
It's like $150 or something to have these things glued on or whatever it is
I
they
think
do.
they're magnetic, right? I mean,
I don't know.
They put on like some kind of a polish or a paint.
This is all natural right here, Andy. All natural.
Well, count them, make sure they're not falling off. All right, we'll finish with this. A quick reminder that there are cameras everywhere. We need this reminder. They see you, they hear you, and they see and hear your farts.
Dude, how's that? That stinks! Get out of my car!
It was a joke.
That ain't no joke. You don't fart in my face.
Oh, geez, that's wet.
That was wet.
That was wet.
Put on the ring.
God, he went in his pants.
Pizza guy.
Wow.
Guy needs to contact Mr. Methane.
Yes, that's who it reminded me. Boy, tough act for Mr. Movie to follow today.
Oh, that's your more, everybody.
Grimaldi's fan photos, Murph_Andy at iowaeverywhere.com. Grimaldi's coal-fired brick oven pizza. You can stop by the West Des Moines or the District at Prairie Trail locations. AD, I see you made the pitch for some more photos. We give away a $50 gift card to Grimaldi's either location every Friday during the show.
Yeah, you can email us, Murph_Andy at iowaeverywhere.com, or hit us up on Twitter or social media, and we'll pick a winner for Friday.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time now for Mr. Movie.
It's time to go to the movies with Mr. Movie, Mike Woody. Presented by P&P Small Engines.
P&P Small Engines.
That's the lead into my segment?
Yes, yes. If we could have had you in that montage of fart moments, it would have been just fantastic. Largest selection of mowers with great pricing to fit anyone's budget at P&P Small Engines.
Yeah, now
Saw that
out.
selection last week, man. It went all the way down the street.
Yeah, I saw Andy last week. He was working.
Yep, I was working too.
Yeah, he was on.
remotely.
Yeah, he was on the show. He was just on the computer screen. You weren't there very long, Mr. Movie. You had business to take care of.
I was headed for Iowa City. But here,
okay.
I want to tell you what happened last Friday, real quick. I get a call that Bill Murray's in town.
Mm-hmm.
There's a screening of his new movie out at the Winds or at the Palms.
Yeah, you were telling us Friday you might get an interview.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
Oh, dang.
I'm driving all the way to Iowa City waiting for this phone call, knowing that I'll just turn around and go back to Des Moines. But my brush with greatness failed.
Well, that's a bummer. We were hoping you landed that interview. You were telling us about that on Friday. Enjoy.
He went and had dinner down at that Tom Archer's place. The register had a nice picture of him sitting back in that booth there.
Yeah, I guess they were playing the Valère that night.
Yeah, playing the Valère. Yep.
Yeah, got like a blues band. So that's we've had the Blues Brothers. Now Bill Murray has a blues band. So that's cool. Out of the box topic this week is speaking of bands, fictional band in a movie, though it should be pointed out in some cases, these fictional bands end up being a band that actually tours because of the popularity of the movie. I'm going to start with one I don't think many people would pick, but it's a charming little movie from, I think Tom Hanks directed it, but it's called The Wonders. And they originally start out as the spelling, they've got the lead singer who just takes himself really seriously in Jim Morrison type fashion. And he wants it to be spelled Oneders, Wonders. And sure enough, when they finally have a hit and they're on a nationally televised show, they're introduced as, ladies and gentlemen, the Oneders. So they do change the spelling to the W, to the Wonders. And coming out of this movie, there's a song, because this song is about the rise and fall of a one-hit wonder. And there is an earworm that did become a hit in this movie called, I think, was the song called That Thing You Do, AD?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
That was the song. And also they appeared in a movie like many of these bands did back in that day. And in the movie, within the movie, they were, what were they? The name was, Captain Geach and the Shrimp Shack Shooters. Captain Geach and the Shrimp Shack Shooters. So that's my fictional band. Mr. Movie, you remember liking That Thing You Do?
I do remember liking it, but I don't like the name that they went with the next band.
The Wonders?
Yeah, no, the Dr. Creech or whatever
Captain Geach and the Shrimp Shack Shooters.
Yeah.
Captain Geach and the Shrimp Shack Shooters, yeah. All right, Andy, what do you have?
There are a lot of, this is a really good subject. I love this one. There's going to be a whole bunch that we miss. People are already lighting us up on the comments. I'm already wishing I'd picked Citizen Dick from Singles, Matt Dillon's band. God, they were so funny.
Citizen Dick. That's great. Was Eddie Vedder in Citizen Dick? Somebody
Yeah, Eddie,
famous,
yeah,
right?
yeah. It was like, the Pearl Jam guys, and it was their hit was "Touch Me, I'm Dick." Yeah, that was really funny. But this one is just like one of those things that just you need to watch this video or this clip of this movie at least once a month or so. It's so funny. But Boogie Nights is such a great movie. And then Dirk Diggler and Chest Rockwell are really feeling high on life and feeling like they're hot, right? They everything, they got the Midas touch. So they go into the recording studio and they lay down Feel the Heat, Feel My Heat.
All day, all night, you feel my heat. Feel my heat.
He's smoking a joint while he's in the
terrible
recording
song.
studio. Just horrible
Wow.
song. Yeah. I don't know that they have a band name yet. They didn't get to that point, but it was Dirk Diggler and Chest Rockwell just in a collaboration.
Mr. Movie fictional band.
I'm going to go back to one of my old favorites that I can use almost every week if you allowed it. In Animal House, the guys go out for a night and they end up in a bar, shockingly, and they run into Otis Day and the Knights.
Oh man, that song ended up exhausting fraternity parties for, maybe still does. Like it comes on late at night, people are breaking it down all the way to the floor.
High school dances. That song was played at every one I ever went to.
It started as a fictional band, but then actually became a band and played sororities and fraternities all over the country.
Those are good songs.
They
Oh,
were
yeah.
good songs, yeah. May we dance with your dates?
Otis, my man.
What was the name of that club?
That was in Wisconsin, wasn't it? Where they actually filmed it? I think so. Oh gosh, somebody will let us know. AD, what do you have for a fictional band?
Yeah, like Andy, a lot of different options. I went with the original Spinal Tap from This Is Spinal Tap, and not just because their amps go to 11, or the tiny Stonehenge, the bevy of deceased drummers, ballads like Lick My Love Pump, but also the fact that they age into the folksmen in the movie A Mighty Wind.
Oh, the singing of its driving wheel. No, I never did know one thing.
And yeah, it's the same three actors, obviously both Christopher Guest mockumentaries, and I think A Mighty Wind is an underrated one.
It is.
When you think about those. So yeah, it's, Spinal Tap and the Folksmen are my choice.
Spinal Tap is coming out with a sequel too. Spinal Tap 2.
Uh-oh.
You know, that might actually work with the level of talent there, and you can check on an aging once great 70s rock band and check in.
Yeah, and I think they've done interviews, since the movie where they would sit down and the interviewer would be like, "Well, what are you guys up to?" And then they ad lib it all, but they're all comedic geniuses, and it's just been hilarious talking about like the stuff they've been up to since Spinal Tap the movie. But I can't wait for this sequel to come out.
Oh, that'll be great.
Oh, good. Yeah, we all like that. All right. Minecraft made another $81 million just in the United States. It's topping $1 billion worldwide. It has been great at bringing young people back to the movie theaters. When I was watching Overthinking on Iowa Everywhere, they played some video of what's happening. I had mentioned it last week about TikTok things going on, but I didn't realize until I saw this video that in many theaters, they're having to stop the movie and ask some people to leave and do a cleanup because everybody just throws all the popcorn into the air and drinks go flying and all of this. I guess it's when Easter eggs are discovered or something. I don't know. But Mike, do you know from your movie connections around this area, is this happening anywhere locally?
Well, there were signs up at the Palms last weekend. Please don't, do this, don't do that. So yeah, I think kids are having some fun.
AD, this did not happen when you saw it.
No, it did not. There was like light on us, and the whole thing is this chicken jockey. It has
Oh,
become
yes.
a meme on TikTok, and so when Jack Black says that in the movie, people go nuts. And yeah, in the theater, I saw people kind of clapped, but it didn't ruin the movie for us.
In the video they showed on Overthinking, somebody held up a live chicken.
Yeah.
At that moment, somebody had brought a live chicken into the theater for that moment, and everyone's on his or her phone. It's crazy.
It's kind of modern Rocky Horror.
Do you get that under your trench coat? How do you get a chicken into the theater?
I've never tried it. I mean, I've had a chicken sandwich, I think, at some point, but not a whole chicken, a whole fried chicken.
Wow.
And 2 pieces of toast. Mr. Movie, The Amateur stars Academy Award winner Rami Malek. It's playing at the IMAX over at the Palms. And I worried that the preview showed a little too much of this, but I thought the preview made me want to see it.
I was going to say it does. There's a lot going on in this movie. He plays a guy who's behind the scenes in a CIA type operation, and he does all the technical work and stuff. And his wife goes across the pond for some work function, and she gets caught up in some terrorist event and ends up getting killed. And I don't tell you anything that you don't already know going in.
Yep.
Well, he decides, I have skills. I don't have those kind of skills, but I need to find these people that killed my wife.
So it's a revenge movie.
Let me tell you, he gets his revenge in many, many creative ways.
What's the grade for The Amateur?
I'm going to give it a good B+. It was fun. It was interesting. It's got a nice twist at the end. And I enjoyed it.
So different than Taken, really different than Taken?
Yes, much, much better. More cerebral in what he's doing than, I don't want to say too much because it'll give stuff away.
Because Liam Neeson was very much not an amateur.
No,
right. He was the opposite.
And this guy's an amateur, but he has other skills.
He has some. He's got his own specific set of skills.
He does, and they're very effective in the film.
Warfare is based on a true story, and it looks intense.
I don't know if I've seen a movie this intense. Fortunately, I was the only one in the theater at the time, but it's based on a true story about a platoon of Navy SEALs who are on an extremely dangerous rescue mission in Iraq. And it is, from the opening scene to the final credits, you are on the edge of your seat, and it is just harrowing to sit there.
It's had good reviews. Would you join that chorus?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's great filmmaking. It's great telling. And the guys that are in it do a tremendous job of carrying this message. And some of the message couldn't be carried because a lot of people got out of there.
All right. So what is the grade for Warfare?
It's an A-. It's really, really well done. But I am telling you, be ready for pretty intense.
For the movie lovers out there, like Jake Bren from Iowa Everywhere, my son Cade, I saw this from our friends at Fridley Theaters. Sneak peek showcase next week from CinemaCon at all Fridley Theaters. So trailers and behind the scenes content from 7 major studios, about 10 minutes each or so, runs about 70 minutes. They're going to do this Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Again, at all Fridley Theaters, just $3 to get in, and all the proceeds to the Will Rogers Foundation, Pioneers Assistance Fund, and to Variety, the children's charity, and a chance to win a $100 gift card for movies. So again, that's next Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m.
I don't remember them doing this in the past, but that's got to be a lot of fun.
I
think get an inside look at a whole bunch of movies that are coming up, and there's good ones in that bunch.
Yeah, and behind the scenes stuff too. I think that'll be a hit. It seems like a good idea, and kind of, it's CinemaCon instead of Comic-Con, but that's what they do at Comic-Con. They get the biggest stars in the world to come in there because of how committed the patrons are that go to those things.
Have you been to the theater lately? Did you know there's another movie coming out, another Mission Impossible movie? Shocking.
I did part 2 of one that was 2 hours and 45 minutes long.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
this
don't
is
know.
part 2 of the last one.
Yeah, I know.
Like part 2 of part 4.
Well, no,
7.
the
Part
most
7?
recent Mission Impossible, I think, was like the 7th Mission Impossible, but it was broken up into 2 parts. So this is like the second part of the most recent Mission Impossible, picks up where the last one left off.
Like part 7 to the second power.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Also, I mean, this weekend you get Sinners, which, if you've seen the trailer for that, looks very intense and very good. And then Cheech and Chong's last movie. Praise the Lord.
Oh, this got to be worth going. Just get all baked and just watch it in the theater. Just eat all the snacks.
Yeah. Well, you can go into the chicken movie and, eat popcorn off the floor.
It's free. If it's on the floor, it's free.
Exactly.
All right. Great to see you, Mr. Movie.
All right, guys. Good to see you.
Thanks, Mr. Movie.
All right.
Enjoy
Have a
the
good
movies,
week.
Mr. Movie. All right. It is time now for a fast game of Throwdowns.
Throwdowns. It's Throwdowns. Backed by Heartland Tire and Auto.
Heartland Tire and Auto, an authorized agent of both Firestone and Bridgestone tires. Murph, the NBA playoffs, the Warriors and Magic played their way into the playoffs last night. There's now 3 teams vying for the final spot in each conference. 4 years in, are you a fan of the NBA play-in tournament?
I am, now that I understand it better. It was just hard to get is it 1 game? Is it 2 games? Home, away? Like, how does it work? I do understand how it works. And last night was a good example of some of the games I care about and some I don't. Like the Hawks Magic game just did nothing for me, even with George Niang playing in it. Didn't really care, and it wasn't a good game at all. But the Grizzlies and Warriors game was really entertaining. So, I like it now.
Yeah, I too. I think for the most part, I'm a fan of these kinds of play-in tournaments because you can tell the intensity of these teams where they know that they're up against it, need to get this done so they can get on to the next level, and they really want it. And it's just, refreshing to see more of that in these leagues.
Andy, we're halfway into April, which has some big sporting events. Ooh. The men's and women's Final Four, Masters, NFL Draft, NBA playoffs, WrestleMania, the Boston Marathon, spring football transfer portal. What's your favorite April sporting event?
It's almost always the NFL Draft. I will have to say, in most years, that's an easy pick for me. This year is kind of a dull draft.
Yeah,
actually, it is. We don't quite have the local connections that we typically do. There aren't a lot of really interesting skill position players, I guess. They tend to make a big difference in whether or not it's a high interest draft or not. Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. Yeah, those are big names. Cam Ward, we know him, but for the most part, there's a lot of linemen in this one that I don't know. Just a lot of players that I'm not real familiar with, and teams that are just not the most interesting teams to me that own these really high draft picks. I think the Browns and what they might do is I think they're the most interesting, but the other ones, I could not give a rip about the Titans or the Giants or the Jaguars or the Patriots. Those I just don't. I don't care what they're doing with these picks, and the state of those teams right now is just not really at a point where one good draft pick puts them in a new echelon of teams.
Completely depends for me on the year. Like right now, it was the Masters because Jenny was completely involved. We were watching, as I said on Monday's show, with a bunch of people we didn't know, and we're having that collective sports experience where what's happening on the screen is making us all talk to each other, and the ups and downs of what happened in that final couple of hours was riveting. And that was better even than the Final Four, which I thought was great as well. So I think it just depends year to year. But right now, the Masters was the best thing I've seen this month.
We'll end it there, but I do need to correct myself from earlier. Murph, you were right about the Luka Garza thing. They had announced that they would retire his jersey at the end of his senior or during his senior season. But you remember that was the COVID season, so there was no or a very limited crowd. He did come back the next year for the actual ceremony to retire his jersey. So apologize for that.
Okay. No worries. All right.
Accept his apology.
I do accept your apology because it was delivered graciously, and
There were no buts.
Yeah, and
But
we're on for an hour and to an hour and 45 minutes 3 times a week. If Andy and I turn this into each little mistake that we make as we're talking extemporaneously, we're going to need like a 10-minute segment at the end of the show.
Don't open that can of worms.
Yeah, don't do it. All right, it is time for the Andrew Downs audio drop of the day. It's the AD squared.
Yeah, it's powered by Game Day Men's Health. I get my tee shots every Thursday at the Ankeny location. You can go to Prairie Trail in Ankeny, West Des Moines on University, or North Liberty on the eastern side of the state as well. Charlie Behrens is a comedian known for making videos about life in the Midwest. Very funny guy. If you haven't seen him, definitely check him out. His latest features former Hawkeye George Kittle.
Hey,
Beers?
beers.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Weather.
Weather.
So much weather.
Beer.
Beers.
Cheers to beers.
Fish picks.
Fish picks.
Fish picks. Oh, not a fish pick.
Well, I suppose. Beers. Beers.
That's it.
That's it.
Yep, that's it. That's about right. Quickie poll results presented by WCI Pools and Spas and Ames in Urbandale.
What should Colorado do with Hunter and Sanders' numbers? Should they retire both of the numbers, retire only Travis Hunter's, or wait on both Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter? 72% say wait on both. 27% say go ahead and retire Travis Hunter's number only. And then a whopping 1% say retire both now. What Colorado is doing.
1%. Less than 1%.
9%. Exactly, yeah.
So that Cheech and Chong movie comes out this weekend, according to Todd in the comments. AD, any thought why that might be?
Easter, maybe? Easter?
I don't think it's Easter. No, I don't think that's right.
Is there another holiday this weekend?
What's the date?
It's not the May the 4th be with you yet.
No, it's April.
Oh, is it 420?
Oh, it might be. All right. Yeah. Thank you for being part of Murph and Andy here on Iowa Everywhere. You'll find what you're looking for at iowaeverywhere.com. We'd love it if you like and subscribe, hit those buttons at the bottom. It helps us out, keeps you up to date with your Iowa Everywhere shows. So thank you for that. We're back Friday for a fun Friday. We hope you're back with us.